Good morning, world.
Good morning out there. Well, after refusing to receive a vaccine for COVID-19, Minnesota Vikings assistant coach Rick Dennison is being asked to leave. It's a damn shame.
Damn shame. Well, that's just the NFL. At least that's not going to bleed down into society, is it?
I think that gives them the impetus to do the same sort of thing. And I think you're going to be seeing that there will be local mandates, be they from colleges and universities or places of business, that there will be pressures for people to get vaccinated.
Coming up next, I'm Cedric.
And I'm Brian, and this is Cedric and Brian.
All right, welcome back. Along with Minnesota Vikings assistant coach Rick Dennison, Brian and I also want to talk about a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL, DeAndre Hopkins. He's facing a
Good fantasy player.
top 3 receiver in the NFL.
May not want to pick him this year.
No, and this is a shame because he is at risk of losing his job because he doesn't want to get the Fauci ouchie.
Yep. Do you have a quote for him?
Yeah, put this quote up here real quick. DeAndre says, "Never thought I would say this, but being put in a position to hurt my team because I don't want to partake in the vaccine is making me question my future in the NFL." And there's people on both sides of the aisle. We've listened to some news correspondents, Shannon Sharp, who are totally backing the NFL on this and saying that he is putting everybody else's money at risk by not giving the shot. For average Joe weekend warriors like Brian and I, there's still a 99.7% chance that we will not catch this virus.
Well, it's not that we won't catch it. We'll catch it, but that we
you'll
won't
survive it.
We're going to survive it.
Yeah.
In fact, before you go on, last year and I have this article here, and this was put out in, and I'll put it up here, January 31st. So basically at the end of last year's season. The numbers were that 333 NFL players were placed on the COVID-19 reserve list this season, meaning last season. How many of those did you even hear go to the hospital? And how many of those died? I can tell you how many died. 0. So,
and not only the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball.
That's right. Hockey. People get this and they survive it for the most part. And I know people come at me, but people die. Yes. People die of the flu. They die of car accidents. They die of heart disease. They die of diabetes. That's part of life, is death. But when you're telling somebody that they're supposed to inject themselves with something. I mean, it'd be one thing if it was an FDA-approved vaccine that's been out for years. But even then, and I was telling Cedric that, even then, why should you have the right to tell somebody to inject themselves with something if they don't want to? Again, I thought this was a free society. They take the risk and they balance it, and he looks at these numbers and he says 333 people had this last year. None of them died, and now they've got natural immunity.
Yeah.
From it.
Exactly.
So now they want to make people do it, and we're going to bring up numbers from the CDC of how many people have died from the vaccine in age ranges that are people that wouldn't have died probably from the actual disease.
Right.
And I'll bring that up later. But do you want to play? I'm not. My friends are Dallas fans, so I'm usually not a Dallas fan.
Yeah.
But there's a Dallas fan, a Dallas player who was backing DeAndre, right?
Yeah, Ezekiel Elliott, and I thought I never say either. I'm backing a Dallas Cowboy, but he's making sense.
Let's play this clip.
I mean, you just told me something new, but like I said, it's everyone's body. You gotta respect that. You can't just, a check is only monetary. You know what I mean? So you can't put a price on someone's health or what they think will make them feel good or not make them feel good. So that's, like I said, you're kind of walking the tight line.
And here's what the NFL is doing. They're saying you have an 18-week schedule, and if someone comes down with COVID on a team, that game has to be forfeited without pay.
That's
both
only
teams.
Only if a certain amount of people get it. Yeah.
Right.
Right. But again, that's their policy. Remember, most of the people, and let me bring up one more statistic here on that. So out of those 333, 147 out of those 333 spent 7 or fewer days on the list, which means they probably didn't have any symptoms. They just tested positive
Right.
with some random testing. Again, so half of those people probably didn't even have symptoms. They're asymptomatic. The science shows that they probably don't spread it because they're asymptomatic, yet they couldn't play. So it's their own rules that are causing these teams to have to forfeit their games.
Right.
Again, if you look at the numbers, and obviously we don't know what this winter is going to bring, but with most people getting the vaccines voluntarily is fine. But the numbers are going to be lower, so they're probably not going to have to cancel games anyway.
No. And like you said, back a while ago, the left was saying, well, this is voluntary, but now it's voluntary but mandatory. Yeah. And now it's affecting the NFL. It's already affected nurses in hospitals, I think in Texas, where they said, well, yeah, you can work here, but if you don't get the vaccine, we got to let you go. So what happened to the voluntary part? Yeah. And it's going to affect cruises. We're signed up to go to a cruise next summer. And like I said at the beginning, it's affecting college students. It's like, well, you can come to school here provided you get the vaccine. But remember, it's all voluntary.
Yeah, that's the thing that's scary. So now, again, you're taking college-age kids are 22 and younger for the most part, and from 18 to 22, and then you have graduate students that are older. But again, they're in that age range that the percentage of people in that age range dying from COVID, I think now at this point, is less than or equal to the amount that have died or had serious consequences from the vaccine. And you will not hear that on the mainstream media. And while I've got that, let me bring that stat up real quick. Okay, so first, I put this chart up for you guys last time. From 0 to 17, 331 people have died of COVID. And who even knows if the numbers are right? Did they die from COVID or did they die while having COVID?
Right.
Most of those people, if not all, there was some other circumstance. They were already a sick child, probably, and I don't know, maybe they would have died within the next year anyways. I don't know. But statistically, healthy people under 17 don't die. Now let's take that age range of college students, 18 to 29. 2,424 people have died with COVID, not of COVID. Again, you've got to look at statistics right. I mean, and you heard some of these statistics. So somebody died of a gunshot wound and had COVID. Well, guess what? They were listed on that statistic. I don't know how true that is, but I know there are some cases like that where somebody was already going into failure because of some disease or some cancer. They had COVID. It was listed as a COVID death.
Right.
Okay, so take that number from 18 to 29. Those are college-age kids out of, I think, we're talking 50, 60 million people in that age category here. And so 2,424 died with COVID. Let's just put it there.
Also, what's sad about this is like the NFL, now they're putting unnecessary pressure inside the locker room because players want to play. This is their livelihood, and we know they get paid an enormous amount of money, but regardless, it's still their livelihood. So now you have other guys who are going to become the guys like, hey, man, I got the vaccine. You need to get it because I need to make this money. I can't piss off my wife or anything like that. So now pressure is being put on these guys. And all money in the NFL isn't the same money. Tom Brady makes $1.5 million a game. I think DeAndre Hopkins makes $750,000 a game. The average NFL player makes $33,000 a game. Now, for most of us watching this video right now, you played 3 games, you're good for the year. That's a lot of money. So the guys who are making big money say, hey, man, like a Tom Brady or DeAndre, like, you're costing me $1 million a game, times that over 18 games. It's a lot of money.
Yeah, so let me just bring up this number real quick. And these are on CDC website. So I'm not just throwing numbers out there. You can look these up on the HHS, the CDC. So as of, I think the 21st of July 19th, and these are reported cases. There has been 6,207 deaths due to the vaccine. Okay? When we create vaccines in a trial, you don't reach 6,000 deaths in that trial within that year. Yet we are the guinea pigs.
Right.
This is the trial. There's been over 6,000 deaths because of the vaccine. Now, if those deaths are people under 30, guess what? Now you have more people dying from the vaccine than you are from the actual disease. And I don't know what they don't put, because the CDC won't put the ages on here, but personal stories, as I told you last time, healthy 22-year-old kind of like Cedric said, like these NFL players getting pressured. It's like, they're pressuring me. I kind of am an outcast if I don't get it. So this 22-year-old got the vaccine, his second dose, had to go to the hospital with myocarditis, heart issues going on. I don't know how bad it got, but I know that now he has to have a cardiologist for the rest of his life. 22-year-old healthy person.
Yeah.
These football players are 22-year-old healthy people.
Yeah.
So why are you going to give them something that killed 0 of them in all of last year?
Well, DeAndre Hopkins, he has a personal story as well. I mean, this is the thing that resonated with him. His girlfriend's brother, they don't mention his age, but he was in the military, got the first shot, and now he's having heart problems. So that was a big part in him making the decision, saying, you know what, I'm not going to get this. And here's the thing. If Roger Goodell, if you're watching our show, I think the NFL should double down. If you're this confident and you're making your employees get this vaccine shot, then you should be financially responsible if they get ill or get sick or, God forbid, die. You should be responsible to their wives and their kids later on if by forcing them to get this shot, you cause their untimely demise. But they're not going to do that.
Yeah, and either way, it's like Ezekiel Elliott said, this should be a personal decision between you and your own doctor, not your employer. So the NFL is there. I'm taking this NFL hat off. Sorry.
Oh, I was going to mention that. I thought.
Let's put on a real hat here.
Yeah, jeez. Supporting the NFL. No time for that.
My flag on straight?
Yes. Oh, my
Look
goodness.
good?
Yes, looks good.
All right. I feel better now. These are decisions that should be made with your healthcare provider, not your employer. The NFL is the employer of these football players and then their teams. And the fact that they're firing coaches and that they're pressuring these players to do something. What happened to my body, my choice, right?
Yeah.
And then I don't know how many of you are old enough to remember this, but I was in the healthcare industry when the HIV and AIDS epidemic started. So then we came out because of that with this whole HIPAA law, because we were very sensitive to people's personal medical history, right? We wanted to make sure other people didn't know. Where did all that go? Now with COVID, it's like, nope, we want to know if you've been vaccinated, what your health status is. That's not right. It's personal. It's personal, and what you want to do, and again, if somebody's afraid and they want to get the vaccine, that is their choice, and I want to give them every choice to use whatever vaccine they want. But then you have to give me or Ezekiel Elliott or DeAndre Hopkins, give them their choice. It's their choice. And if they end up, God forbid, dying from the COVID actual disease because they didn't get the vaccine, then that's on them, and they will take that responsibility. And no, they're not going to infect people, innocent people, because those innocent people already have the opportunity to get the vaccine. Yeah. So this whole thing is scary that they're pushing so hard.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to vaccine, and this is where, and we did an episode with Ben, on Ben.
Yes.
Ben really likes the vaccines. And again, maybe for the most people over 75, the vaccines are the perfect thing for you to do. And go get them. Go get them. Just realize it's not an FDA-approved vaccine. It's basically an emergency use clinical trial that you're a part of.
Ben Shapiro, for those of you who don't know him on a first-name basis.
Yeah. So he keeps showing these graphs showing how the death rates are lower, and he attributes all these low death rates to the vaccines. Maybe, maybe not. If you look back in the case in, 1917, 1918 with the Spanish flu?
Yes.
With no vaccine, you saw the same pattern, because guess what? The people that are most vulnerable, unfortunately, they're the ones who die. And then people that aren't build up natural immunity as it goes through a society. Is this vaccine helping? Well, they'll sure tell you it is, because that's what'll sell. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. The numbers say that it probably helps a little for people older that are susceptible of dying from this virus. But they're going to start, just watch, they're going to start pushing this on kids under 12. I gave you the numbers for kids under 12. They have a higher chance of dying from the normal flu than from COVID. And you're not going to mandate a 12-year-old to get a flu shot, are you? Those of you who do, do what you got to do. I mean, I would say that they're not at the age of consent yet, that you got to wait till they're 18. I wouldn't make that decision for them.
No, absolutely not.
And I don't want you guys to take this wrong, because I don't want to get our channel shut down. Freedom. You have the freedom to decide. The vaccine trial is out there. Again, most people don't even realize it's not an FDA-approved vaccine. Right. It's an emergency use only vaccine trial, basically. More power to you if you want to get it. I know many great people out there that said, I'm going to get the vaccine. I feel more comfortable. That's great. But it's scary when they start pressuring people that say, you know what? I don't think I'm in a risk category. I may be wrong and I may die tomorrow from COVID-19, but I should be able to make that decision.
Yeah, but leave the people alone who decide not to get it.
Yes.
And me and Brian, we don't want to harp on the fact, and you can't refute this, that those who have gotten the vaccine are still coming down with COVID. And the reason they're saying that is like, well, they're getting it again, but now the symptoms are a lot less than that. Fine, whatever. I haven't.
And they'd be less anyways because the variant's not as potent.
It's not as potent anyway. Whatever, potato. If you feel like getting it, fine. It's the pressure to make those who decide not to get it, and like Brian's T-shirt says, it's taking away the freedom of those who do not want to get it. Let it go.
And you're making a two-class system, the vaccinated versus the unvaccinated. And it's happening in other countries big time. Again, luckily our cruise is until 2022. I hope this nonsense goes away because 2021 now they're saying we've got plenty of room left for vaccinated people. So now they're already separating us into two classes and we're not going to be able to participate in certain things. And I know a lot of you say, well, then just get the vaccine. Well, why? Just get it. It's like everybody's doing it, Cedric. You got to do it. Everybody's doing it.
It's like parents just say, well, if Johnny jumped off a bridge, would you do it too?
Yeah. It's perfectly safe. Well, again, it's not perfectly safe. I read you the numbers. Over 6,000 have been reported to die. That doesn't even count the myocarditis where you're just going to have ill health or the demyelination symptoms that they're saying that's going to happen over time, which we won't know. Demyelination symptoms are things like MS, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's. We won't know. In 20 years, we're going to find out if this vaccine was safe or not. I choose, at my age and my health status, I think the risks for me getting the vaccine is higher than the risk for me from COVID, which I think I already had anyway.
That's when we'll see the commercials 20 years from now. Like, if you took the vaccine back in 2021, you may be entitled to compensation.
Oh, we're going to end with this clip. This is back in the day. I think this was 2020 again with our good, I think this is Mike Wallace.
Oh, yeah.
Mike Wallace, so I'll play this real quick.
The flu season is upon us. Which type will we worry about this year? And what kind of shots will we be told to take? Remember the swine flu scare of 1976? That was the year the U.S. government told us all that swine flu could turn out to be a killer that could spread across the nation. And Washington decided that every man, woman, and child in the nation should get a shot to prevent a nationwide outbreak, a pandemic. Well, 46 million of us obediently took the shot. And now 4,000 Americans are claiming damages from Uncle Sam amounting to $3.5 billion because of what happened when they took that shot. By far the greatest number of the claims, 2/3 of them, are for neurological damage or even death.
See how easy it is to...
Thus, the U.S. government's publicity machine was cranked into action to urge all America to protect itself against the swine flu menace.
Influenza is serious business. During major flu epidemics, millions of people are sick and thousands die. Well, this year you can get protection. The vaccines are safe, easy to take, and they can protect you against flu. So roll up your sleeve. Protect yourself.
I think the government knows it's wrong.
If it drags out long enough, that people will just give up. Let it go.
I am a little more adamant in my thoughts than my wife is, because I told Judy to take the shot. She wasn't going to take it, and she never had shots. And I'm mad with my government because they knew the facts, but they didn't release those facts because if they had released them, the people wouldn't have taken. And they can come out tomorrow and tell me there's going to be an epidemic, and they can drop off like flies next to me. I will not take another shot that my government tells me to take.
Meantime, Judy Roberts and some 4,000 others like her are still waiting for their day in court.
So as you can see, back in the day of the swine flu, they were telling people to get the jab, and then all of a sudden there's billions of dollars in lawsuits because of the effects of something that I think was an actual vaccine, not even an emergency trial.
Yeah, right.
And you still had all these bad effects. So again, make informed decisions. Why is the government forcing us to get this? And when I say forcing, they're putting so much pressure that people that make hundreds of thousands of dollars may have to give up their paycheck just for the simple fact that they don't want other people telling them what to do with their bodies.
Right.
I'll leave it at
we
that.
can rant on this forever. Let's wrap this up.
Before we go, we don't have our official commercial, but I'll put a link in there for www.preparewithcedricandbrian.com. And if you watch one of our past videos, we'll have a new cooking. We'll cook something new for that one. But it's 25-year lifespan for food. If you're getting ready for that food shortage that looks like it may be coming, get this. You can stick it in your cupboard, and then in 25 years, if we haven't run out of food, you've got a month's worth of food.
Yeah, at least go on the link and check it out, and pass it on to your family and friends, and have them check it out.
Yep.
We're gonna do a comment.
Let's do the comment here. Okay. All right. So this goes. I tied this in because this is the comment that came in after I did my Ben Shapiro's blind spot. Again, Ben is much smarter than me. I'm not going to deny that. In the legal field, he's went to law school. He went to Harvard. I did neither of those. All right. I do have a fair amount of healthcare training. I've been in the healthcare field personally for 25 years, and before I was in the insurance business with my dad's company. So I've seen.
You're intelligent.
Yeah, I saw.
I don't know how in the hell you became a Rams fan.
I saw the whole HIPAA thing happen. So, anyways, Ben, I love you. We loved going out there to the Daily Wire. But after we did this, somebody sent us this message, and I'll put it up here. This comment. This is by MaiW, MAIW. All medications have side effects, minor, critical, long-term. CDC is refusing to tell the truth. COVID vaccine is still in experimental phase and using people as guinea pig. They are documenting the side effects on the down low. So luckily you can go to the CDC and get those numbers I just brought up. And remember, not all of this gets reported. They're doing the opposite of if people die with COVID, then it's a COVID death. If people die after the vaccine, probably not the vaccine.
Right.
But at least 6,000 got reported as due to the vaccine. I know somebody personally that I knew very well for a long time who died because of the vaccine, and then I've known people now that are having health issues. So again, your decision, you have the freedom, make the choice, but we need to push back against the tyrannical stuff with business, government, schools mandating this stuff. You should never mandate anything like this.
Right, exactly.
Anyway.
Well, thank you guys for following us along in this. We're a little passionate about this one. We just we care about all of you. We care about your health. We care about your family's health, and we don't want anyone to be to suffer long term from this. But do your own research, like Brian said. Meanwhile, make sure you like. Please make sure you subscribe. Please ring that bell and share our videos with everyone you know. And whether you decide to vaccinate or not vaccinate, please be good to each other. Until next time, I'm Cedric.
And I'm Brian. We'll see you later.